weather. And so I wanted to present a scene with beautiful weather behind me. But I'm actually here in Troy in my office. So I just want to welcome everybody to the 2021 Abilities Awareness Rally. Thank you for joining us today. March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and we are very excited to have you here online to celebrate creativity, skill, and entrepreneurship. You are all examples of what happens when we see people first and focus on strength and skills. Today, we are here to celebrate abilities, talents, and connect with valuable resources available to people with disabilities, or should I say abilities. I want to recognize each of you here today for your involvement and your commitment to all the people living with an intellectual developmental disability and really striving to achieve community involvement, lead independent lives, or even own or operate a business like our vendors being highlighted a little while later. That's exciting. We are going to hear from some amazing speakers, meet people who are true champions of ability, and learn more about employment and skill building. So let's get started. First, I want to introduce our MC for the afternoon, Matt Fritzen. Matt is a peer mentor at MORC and part of their Citizens Advisory Committee. He's also very active on many OCHN work groups, including the CAC, BEST, strategic planning, as well as amazing advocate for the public mental health system. So first of all, I want to thank you, Matt, and welcome you. Thank you, and take it away.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew Fritzen. I am a peer mentor and all the wonderful other things that you've heard about me so far. I am going to be your MC for today, and I hope to get to know every one of you a little bit better by the end of this. So I think you'll really enjoy today's meeting. And first off, we want to have Vicki Suter, who is the Director of Rights and Advocacy, and Amy Kupovitz, advocate and trainer as well, to talk about supportive decision making.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. If we could go to the next slide. So it's exciting to talk about supported decision making at this event, because really supported decision making is about looking at people's abilities and what it is that they can do, and how can we assist somebody to have the full life that they deserve and that they want and that they're looking to have. I'm just going to briefly talk about, sort of define what supported decision making is, because in a minute we're going to watch a video, and that's going to give you some more specific information about supported decision making. So it really enables individuals to retain their rights and to exercise their rights and to communicate and make choices about their personal lives and about legal matters. And it's an alternative to a person having their civil rights taken away. So, part of our effort around supported decision making is so individuals understand that they do have other options besides guardianship, and what those options might look like, and what kinds of tools can be used with supported decision making, so that guardianship may not be the best choice for that person. When guardianship is chosen, or when people are put under guardianship, they basically lose all of their civil rights that are part of that guardianship. And so, having people understand that there are some alternative other methods and what those might be. And then it's a tool that will help people, supports their family, their circle, their friends, in having the life that they want. Next slide. So we all need supporters. We all have to have people in our lives that help us, where none of us are independent totally. We have some interdependence with other individuals in our life. And I was talking to Amy about our presentation yesterday. And when I, have issues about my car, I'm not a car person. I don't know lots about cars. I talk to my husband. He takes care of that. When we have financial matters that need to be taken care of, my husband talks to me, because I'm more financially minded about things. If I'm looking to buy a piece of electronic equipment, I'll talk to my son, because he has more information and has a better understanding of electronic information. So we all have some level of independence. So supported decision making is something really that we all kind of experience, and it allows people with a disability to to make their own decisions. It mirrors how all of us as adults make decisions. As I was just mentioning, we receive supports when it's needed and wanted. It's person-centered. It's about what does the person want, what are they looking to do, what do they need help with, and looking at the individual. There's tools available, and it doesn't involve the court or the legal system. When you involve the court or the legal system, then the court or the legal system really is in control of those issues versus it takes away some of your choices and abilities to make choices. Next slide. So what's happening? There's a couple things that are going on that really I think are gaining some momentum. First, OCHN does have a supported decision-making work group that's been around for about 3 years or so, and we're really looking at, how can we provide information so individuals know about supported decision-making long before they think that only guardianship is the opportunity or way to go to assist somebody. So I'll talk about this in a little while, but we are doing a large educational program that's providing all types of information about supported decision making and just looking at ways where we can get the information out to individuals so that families and persons will know about it. And then we're also involved in a statewide supported decision making work group. And that's with the Development Disabilities Council. There's persons from all around the state involved in that, and they're looking at things like, what kinds of legislation might need to be changed in order to support people so they can choose supported decision making, and or if guardianship is chosen, how does legislation need to be changed so that it's more beneficial for the individual that is under a guardianship. And they also do education all around the state. And what are those pieces that have influence related to guardianship and supported decision making that we need to have conversations about? So that's really a great group. I think we're gaining momentum. Next slide. So we do have a video. This video is 18 minutes long. It was created by the Development Disabilities Council. It's going to give you some really great information about supported decision making. There's a number of individuals that are interviewed and share information about their experiences, either through supported decision making or under guardianship. So after we do this video, I'd like some feedback. So be thinking about as you view the video, what kind of impact does it have on you, or what nugget of information did you take away from the video, so that you can share that after we review the video. All right, I think we're ready to see the video.
There's no question asked more often by parents of students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, IDD, than what will happen to my son or daughter when I'm gone? As students approach adulthood, families often question whether or not to pursue guardianship. This decision is made more difficult by lack of information. Supported decision-making is an approach that encourages individuals with IDD to make their own life decisions. What does supported decision-making mean to you?
Individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities have the right, responsibility, and authority to make decisions in their lives.
It used to be that as soon as young people turned 18 in the county of Midland, they were immediately in my court asking for a guardianship. The type of guardianship that this is, it's called a plenary guardianship, and there are two aspects to it. One is personal and the other is financial.
Supported decision making to me means being able to live my life, but also having someone that I can run things past if I need the help.
Supported decision making starts with the person. That is, the person has control over decisions that they make. Rather than giving the authority to someone else to make a decision on a person's behalf, the person retains that authority and gets help when they need it from someone else.
It's when people with disabilities receive the support they need and want to be able to make their own decisions and communicate those decisions to others using trusted friends, family members, and professionals in their lives. But that's a technical definition. I think really supported decision making is human decision making. It's what you and I and everybody does every day.
We like to describe supported decision-making as anything that will assist a person with disabilities to take control of and direct important life decisions. Supported decision-making is more of an approach and a strategy for trying to figure out how to individualize a set of supports that will assist people not only to make the decisions in their lives, but to become better decision makers over time as they learn to make more and more decisions.
I use different people in my circle because I got a circle of friends and people that I work with that I trust to, when I have to make a big decision, to ask them what they think I should do. And then ultimately I'll make the final decision for myself because ultimately it's my life and not nobody else, and I got to be able to control it.
It really can work differently for different people. I've seen some supported decision-making arrangements that are very formal, where people are using a team approach for supported decision-making. I've seen others that are very individualized, where a person might have a smaller trusted network. I've seen supported decision-making arrangements where people go to certain people for certain questions, like finances, like healthcare, and go to other people for other kinds of questions, like relationships. And I think it looks very, very depending upon who the person is and what their wants and desires are.
For me, the important decisions are made. I usually go to my guardian, who is my mother, but more so since I've moved out, I've really tried to make most decisions for myself and only go to them for ones that I should go to them for.
How is guardianship and supported decision-making different?
Guardianship is a legal relationship where a person is assigned by a judge to make decisions on behalf of another individual. So the difference between guardianship and supported decision-making is there's not a legal relationship established by a court. In supported decision-making, it's setting up arrangements so that the person has people involved in their life to help them make decisions. And it also means that people maintain their rights.
A guardianship is a really big deal. You take away all the freedoms of decision-making of that individual. And so I do not take that lightly. It's a big decision that a judge needs to make. So the sense of freedom that is associated without having a guardianship is important for quality of life. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. None of us want to have those kinds of strictures on our lives.
What the parent is doing is they're turning over that responsibility to the court, really. The court is now intervening between their child and themselves. I mean, that relationship now becomes altered in a way. There's no reason to go that route. And once we describe the different alternatives that are available to parents, generally they take them.
One of the things that we're finding in the research is that one of the first people who suggest guardianship to families is teachers at the IEPs when students are getting into that transition from childhood to the adulthood age. So early on, we need to make sure people understand that everyone needs support. Let's help people understand what the issues are, what the dreams are, so we can gather around and help folks achieve those. Guardianship could potentially take that all away.
What impact can guardianship have on a person with IDD?
Get up a certain time, like 5 a.m. in the morning, you shower, eat your meals, like a regular day, but I felt no freedom.
When my mom passed away, for some reason, that family member thought that they should somehow take over guardianship of me. And just based on like how my childhood had went and just how things were back then, I knew what it felt like to not have people give you choices and sort of not listen to you just because, you know, I had a disability. And I didn't want to have my choices taken away, especially since I was already living on my own and I had a job. I mean, I did have a disability and I did have disability benefits, but I was trying to make my own way. And so I didn't think that was fair, but I also knew that this person was very persuasive and could possibly make that happen. So I thought I didn't have any choice in the matter, and I felt that the only thing that I could do to protect myself from that was to run, so I left the country.
So what I see often with guardianship is that people rebel against decisions that they might have made themselves if they had been given the opportunity to make that decision themselves, right? It's when you're feeling like you're being forced to do something or someone else is in control of your life, then you begin to find other ways to have some control in your life. And sometimes those ways aren't very healthy or safe.
How does supported decision-making work in the lives of individuals?
At Quality Trust, for example, we work with both young adults who have not yet reached the age of 18, as well as people all the way through, the later years. I'll start with some of the adults that we've worked with. For them, it's been a challenge because they may not have had in their early developmental years an opportunity to make decisions. And so therefore, they've already developed some preferences about which decisions they're interested in making and which decisions they're not. The other element that we often see is they may have learned some habits in life that they have to overcome in order to really become better decision makers. So they need a set of supports around them that will assist them to primarily think through what their options are and what the potential consequences of different strategies or approaches could be in their life as they approach major decisions. For younger people, it's really very interesting because for them, they're just starting out. And so what we see is important is that you really have to think about what are the new experiences that you need to expose them to so that they begin to take on more responsibility over time, that they may be part of their IEP meeting starting at age 15, 16, or 17. And so therefore, rather than the professionals around them talking to them about what things will happen to them, the professionals begin to talk to them about what options are available, what activities they could be involved in, and which ones fit best with who they are and what they want to achieve in their life now and in the future.
How can a person get their rights restored?
I'm not a lawyer, so I haven't helped somebody legally go to court and get their rights restored. But I have helped people get connected with lawyers that can help them do that, whether it's through the court or through setting up alternative supports. And sometimes it happens in stages. So I've helped people maybe reestablish some financial independence, certainly some legal independence, and also recognize that because they might have a partial guardianship, understanding the terms of their guardianship so that if it is kind of a process, they can go back to court over stages and have rights and responsibilities restored to them.
The requirement for a guardianship is necessity. So if the necessity no longer exists, in other words, the supports have come together in the community or with that particular person, so there's no longer a necessity for it, then you need to petition to have that guardianship terminated, in my opinion. And I'm thinking for my court, I have equal numbers of establishing guardianships for developmentally disabled as discharging.
I work for the Arc of Midland, and we're an advocacy organization for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so just as a rule, we have the position that every person is a citizen in the community and every person should have opportunities and have the ability to contribute as citizens. Part of that is not having your civil rights removed, which is what guardianship can do, right? What guardianship does do. There are certain rights that you have that are given to someone else to exercise on your behalf. And so we've been strong advocates always for alternatives to guardianship. And we happen to have a probate judge who also sees guardianship as a very serious issue. When she imposes a guardianship on someone, she knows she's taking some of their rights.
A story that Jan Lampman likes to tell of a petition for guardianship that was filed on a developmentally disabled person, and they were having problems with economics and also relationships. And Jan was there in a supportive position. I pulled her up on the stand and I said, so we have this petition. Do you feel that it's necessary? And her answer was very good. She said, well, I have relationship issues too, and I have financial issues too. So that cannot be the sole basis that we have a petition for a plenary guardianship. It needs to go to the heart of protection of the individual.
With respect to terminating guardianships, my philosophy is just don't go there in the first place. Again, my emphasis is of working with the school system when families are young and throughout their time in a public school setting, and with the educators that are working with them, be it the teachers, auxiliary staff. Let's just assume that this person's going to be as autonomous as possible. Let's take a look from the get-go, from their little, about what is it to be self-determined, self-advocate, specific to the age too. So for little ones, they should be able to choose what color toothbrush they might want or what shirt to wear. And if it doesn't match, hey, what's the terrible thing about that?
Why is autonomy important?
People naturally want to be in charge of what goes on within their lives. Most of us would like to have some control. We like to take the responsibility, but with that responsibility also comes the authority to make some decisions. And so with the help of those individuals that love and know them, the autonomy gives people with intellectual and developmental disabilities an opportunity to be the person that they really want to be.
It's important to retain autonomy because autonomy is a fundamental human right, and it's part of what makes us all human. It's part of the inalienable rights that we have for ourselves and the rights that belong to people with disabilities alongside everyone else.
There have been years and years of studies that have shown that people with disabilities who have greater self-determination in their lives have better life outcomes. And that means they're actors in their own lives. They're not being acted upon, they're acting for themselves. They're more likely to be successfully employed. They're more likely to make that difficult transition into adulthood that happens when you leave school. They're going to be healthier, and I'm not only talking about psychological health, physically healthier. And so I think we need to take that very seriously, that promoting self-determination, regardless of what tool you use to support decision-making, needs to be the fundamental goal because people live better lives.
People retaining autonomy in their life is really part of a safeguard strategy, so that if you look at the data that has emerged over the last 20 years, as we've started really tracking outcomes in people's lives, you find that when people are in more control of their lives, they feel more comfortable saying no, so that they're less likely to be pushed into doing something that they don't want to do. We also find that people are more connected to other people. For example, people rely on different folks in their larger social network to help them make decisions. They're actually going to people to get that advice prior to finding themselves in a bad decisions. So they're comfortable going to people and asking for input rather than thinking they've got to do it all on their own. And again, that's another sort of safeguard that enables people to learn over time, as well as potentially avoid bad outcomes in their lives.
What supported decision-making tools can people with IDD use?
The best tool is listening to the person. I think that as we listen to individuals to determine what they would like to have happen to them, happen with them, to have the life that they want to live, we can use whatever tools are available to assist. I think that's where we really need to be mindful, because every individual is just that, an individual.
My life now, all right, I can make my own decisions now. Went to high school, graduated, went to special education, living out in the community. Now I'm living into a home, a house. I drive my own vehicle. I'm on like 2 or 3 boards and involved in the city of Westland as a disability concern board as a chairperson on that board. The tools that I use is my own guardian, for example. If I want to go make a payment on a bill, make a payment, or the decisions like going to see my doctor, for example, or making the decision to go out to a library. I think it's important for people to have that time for decision making. It's about their life if they want to live a self-determined life.
You need to take an approach that is very person-centered. You need to decide what tool for the person is going to be the least restrictive for whatever the situation is.
Parents are made to feel that they need to rush into these decisions. They do not. Slow down, make sure you understand all that's at stake here, understand what the alternatives are, all the supports that are out there.
All of us make mistakes, and so we can't hold individuals with disabilities to a different standard and say that they can't make decisions because they may make a mistake.
When we turn 18, we are legally able to make decisions, and that ability to have the self-worth, the knowledge, the self-respect to know that you are capable and respected as an individual who is independent and able to make decisions. People with disabilities want that same respect. With supported decision-making, we are really honoring that value of maintaining an individual's autonomy and respecting their adulthood.
Using the principles of self-determination to make those kind of decisions, and using your circle to make sound decisions, because everybody deserves to take risks at some point in their life. Everybody has made mistakes, and nobody perfect, and no man is an island. So let's go for it in the most effective way we can and support people in making sound decisions. So they won't get stuck in the system and get caught up in the legalese of having guardians when they really don't have to. have guardians or somebody controlling their life other than themselves.
People have a hard time thinking about their life in a different way when you've always been put in the box and told this is what your life is and how it can be, and then someone else comes along and says, but what do you really want? And maybe it could be this way. Getting people to hear me at times and understand when it pertains to my own life that what I'm saying is really what I mean. And when I want something to happen in my life, it doesn't mean maybe, it doesn't mean that possibly I want it to happen. It means really this is what we're going to work on, and really this is where I want to go in life. This is why I really wanted to do this, because yes, I am making a choice, and yes, I know that I have to work on it, and I'm willing to do the work. Please listen and please hear that when we ask for something, we want to be heard.
Wow. I love that video. I just think it's so powerful. If a couple of people could just unmute or put in the chat what you thought about the video, that would really be great. What stood out to you? What was impactful? I think Matt's got his hand up. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay. I thought it was very good and very powerful because I was one of those people that was told when I was younger, when I turned 18, that I had to have a guardian because I was homeless at the time and I had a disability. And DHS said, if you want to get food stamps and assistance, you have to have a guardian. And I was 18. I didn't know any better. So I'm like, okay. And then I got caught up in that legalese of having the guardian, not knowing how to get rid of them. It was very difficult to get rid of. And I think that if we can prevent this from happening to others, this is a very important task to do.
Thanks, Matt. Anybody else have a comment or thought? Thanks for sharing your experience. So I see Lori Lindstrom stated self-determination, supported decision making for all, and she's doing exclamation points. Jean Fettner says the need to get the courts informed of the options. Also, some sort of systematic education for parents of teens appears to be needed, perhaps through the school system. Yes, you're absolutely right, and we're working on that, trying to reach the school individuals. So they understand supported decision making. It's very easy for them to say, hey, here's guardianship, here's how you do it. They don't always talk about supported decision making because they don't necessarily understand it or don't have confidence about talking about it. So we're working on that. Great point, Jean. I see Judy has her hand up as well. Go ahead, Judy. Judy, you're muted. All right, while she's getting unmuted, I'm going to read Dana states, so empowering as a mom. I want to be protective, but I had to learn to let my son go and grow. He's a good man. He inspires me when he tells me he can take care of things, but I know I am here for him when he needs me. Absolutely. Thanks, Dana. And Caitlin Toss says, personal stories light a spark in me and remind me of why I work at being an advocate for all. Absolutely. Thanks, Caitlin. So Judy, I see you still have your hand up, but I don't know if you can unmute or not. I wrote down, I've seen the video a couple of different times, but this time I wrote down the best tool is listening to the person. I really like that statement. The best tool is listening to the person. So with that, we are going to hear from Amy Kupovitz. And first I want to say happy birthday to Amy, because today's Amy's birthday. Yay, I hope you get to eat birthday cake. So Amy's going to talk to us about a couple things. She's going to talk about, a circle that really didn't support her in the way she needed to be supported, what it's like to be under a conservatorship, And then, what it's like to have a good circle of support. So Amy, why don't you talk about that circle that was making decisions for you and that really wasn't a good support to you?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for saying happy birthday. And yes, I had a circle that was making decisions for me. I'm grateful in the way they did, but I would have liked to make my own decisions because Mom died of dementia in 07. My sister died in 06, and I thought I was going to go into a nursing home, and one of the neighbors said, why don't you go to Morgan? You can have an apartment with a roommate. Well, that was okay, but then my circle of supports decided, no, I needed a group home first. So I had to go to a group home, and when I went to the group home, I felt that I was sometimes, I don't know how to say this because I have 24-hour care, but they were afraid of me because I could talk and I could tell the higher up what was going on in the house. So, and my circle of supports also made the provisions in the will because my nieces were waiting with me about the will, and so they made the decisions that I would get the house, Mom and Dad's house, but it would have to go in my trust fund, which means I'd have to go in a group home anyway. So I was settled on that.
How'd that make you feel that people were having discussions and decisions without, thinking about what you wanted or what you really were capable of?
I think they just thought, in fact, I had a very good friend say to me just last Sunday that, oh my God, you've done so much that we didn't know what you could do. And we thought, well, you wanted an apartment with a roommate, but we didn't know that you could have a job, you could have 2 jobs, and you could do it like you are. And I'm like, I knew in my heart if somebody believed in me, I could do it. But I needed encouragement, and I just decided I was going to do it my own way. And that was it.
All right, can we have the next slide? So Amy, can you talk a little bit about the conservatorship that you're under?
Well, at first they didn't know how to handle me because I wanted an apartment and I had a van. My mom just bought a new van for me, specially equipped, and I didn't want to sell the van. I knew I was getting out of the group home, and I wanted my own life. And when I said I wanted to work, my guardian conservator just looked at me and said, oh yeah, what are you gonna do? That was his exact word. And I said, well, I'm going to start an Avon business. He said, well, think about that. But I thought about that and I still wanted to do it. So I did it, and I had it for about a year before I actually told him I had it. believe it or not. And when he found out, his face turned red and he said, "Who told you you could do that?" And I said, "Because I wanted to do it, so I did it." And he's told one of my good friends that he didn't know how to handle me legally because I had my mind, but it was my body that was affected. And it's usually the other way around. So
and now you've got even another job?
Yes. I'm a trainer for OCHN and I love it. And I'm also a peer mentor and I love that too. And I got a newer van since Mom's death. I got a van, but it was a little bit old. So I've already told the new conservator because the other one retired in, I believe, in November. He didn't even tell me he was retiring, but I got an email stating that he retired. And so when I met the new conservator, I told him I need permission to save for a new van, or I was willing to save, but I need a new van so I could still do my job because I love it. I love the support and I love just to know that I could pay for something myself.
And what did he say about that?
Well, if first the first one I had said, "Oh no new van," and one of my good friends said, "Oh no new van. We have to save money." And I said, "Look," I said, "I love you, but I'm gonna get a van." And because the older conservator, the first conservator said, "Oh, you can't afford it." So he didn't send me any report on what I had for years. I still don't know what Mom and Dad left me. So.
Yeah, and there was a few times, didn't you have some trouble? They didn't pay your rent on time?
Yes, they didn't pay my rent on the time for a month, and then right now I'm going through a rent. I have a credit for rent for $3, and I was walking by my rental office and they stopped me and they said, "We love you here, but we've got a little problem. You are screwing up the books." And I look at them and I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Well, you have a credit of $3 because every time the new conservator pays the rent, he pays more than he should." So,
and what are you doing on Wednesday?
Tomorrow, I need a lot of prayer, a lot of good thoughts, and maybe if you believe in prayer, I can't tell you not to believe in prayer or believe in prayer, but I'm going to go in front of the judge by Zoom, and I'm going to ask that I can get more bills because I already pay my phone bill and my medicine copay from my work money that I work from OCHN and from my training job and my peer mentor job also, and I've been paying that for 2 to 3 years. I just decided to pay for it myself, so I learned how to pay a bill. But tomorrow I will go in front of the judge and ask her if I can pay some more of my bills, because that way I don't have to worry about the rent getting mixed up anymore, or anything like that. So yes, I'm very, very excited about that one.
And so what does having a good circle of support mean? How does that, what's that like?
It means the world to me, because I know what I want to do. I just need another person in my life that knows me and knows what I can do. And sometimes, like I said before, they can't believe what I've gone through and what I've done. So, but I love every one of them, from the church to OCHN to the peer mentor group, to everybody that supports me.
Well, thank you, Amy. If we could have the next slide, I think the next slide is just if anybody has any questions or comments for Amy. There's a lot of happy birthdays to you in the chat.
Thank you, everybody.
Any comments or questions for Amy?
Vicki, I see a hand up.
Yes, it looks like Judy has her hand up.
My apologies for the tech connection, but I just want to say that in 2001, my daughter exited special ed and went into the public mental health system. She needed challenges in every aspect of her life. And we chose to be her power of attorney. It worked fabulously. We created a great team for her. And I think her story parallels Amy in a lot of ways, including the recognition from the ARC of Oakland County with the Sheldon Dunn Award. So I encourage Amy, and I can tell you that Jen had a fabulously fulfilling life using our aspect as power of attorney. She went on to own her own business, and she also had a great support team that we collected along the way. And I can't underestimate how valuable having a good team is important to people moving forward. So you don't need guardianship. She needed every aspect. I'm going to reemphasize that, every aspect of support. And we were able to accomplish that through her being an employer of record. She could hire and fire. And so I want to really encourage anyone who is moving in the direction of disregarding the option of guardianship, but looking at support from people who know a person well and will work for them. I don't think there's anything on the planet that really substitutes for just a community connection. I think a lot of the conversation today has said that we are intra-connected. And so we need to build those things. We need to encourage people coming into our system to make sure that they can assemble a group of people who know them well and support their decisions. And I think it works. It certainly works for Jen. And I just am delighted to see how Amy is doing and that she has that strong fortitude to be the person that she was meant to be and will play that out to the best of her ability. And if she needs a teammate, I'm in.
Thank you, Judy, for that testimony. We so much appreciate it. Amy, you have to unmute if you want to respond, but in the chats, lots of congratulations. Glad you're living like you want, sending positive thoughts and prayers that you'll be successful in your endeavors with the court tomorrow, and lots of good luck. So, any closing statement, Amy?
First of all, thank you, Judy, for saying that. And if you want to be a part of my team, please be one. But I just want to say thank you for everybody. And I want to live my life, and I hope that I have everybody's support. I love OCHN and all the support they give me, and especially Vicki.
Thanks, Amy.
Yes. And you don't know, but you're part of my support system too.
All right.
Okay, yes. And
hey, you have a great birthday. I hope you have a wonderful birthday today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
We're going to go to the next slide. We're going to finish this up real quick, and we're going to talk about our supported decision-making training series that we're having called Living an Empowered Life. And next slide. So we started this in January. We've had 2 sessions so far. Our March session is March 23rd. As you can see on the slide, we're covering a variety of topics, different topics each month. This is a 10-month training series. I mean, you can do whichever ones you want. You don't have to come to them all. Opportunities are available for an afternoon session and also an evening session. So far, we've been able to do both of those live because the speakers have been available. So each month we have a speaker who's an expert on the topic come and present about that particular tool or topic. They've been really great. We've had great attendance, 80 plus for our afternoon sessions, about 15 for our evening sessions. So please join us in that. Next slide. And here's some additional resources if you want. These are links in organizations that have websites that will give you more information about supported decision making, and you can always contact us as well. And next slide. And so if any other questions for us, we'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, thanks so much for letting us be a part of this abilities awareness. So I see Trish has put in the chat the link to register for the March training. Thank you, Trish. All right, everybody, have a great day.
All right. Now I got the great honor to talk about this great topic. Next one, I'm going to recognize individuals that have been selected as the Ability Champion. An Ability Champion is a person with an intellectual developmental disability who defined ability by being self-determined, living an independent life, and leading others. Here to introduce our first Ability Champion is Lisa, and I please forgive me if I say your last name incorrectly, but
It's Feline.
Feline. She is the president and CEO of Community Living Services, or CLS Oakland County. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Actually, I'm the Chief Operating Officer, not the CEO. I don't think I just got a sudden
Oh, I'm sorry.
advancement. No, it's totally fine. I just wouldn't want to take credit for something that's not my job. So thank you so much, though. It is my honor to introduce Wayne Pace as the Abilities Champion for Community Living Services. Wayne is an extremely talented artist who's been honing his craft since he was 5 years old. He started as a self-taught artist, and he molds clay into tiny figures that are miniature models of life-size characters. And as you can see, they're very, very realistic looking. Wayne is now an artist in residence at the Art Experience, where he works with other artists to work on furthering his craft, and like all artists, hoping to find a market for his art. His art is intricate, beautiful, unique, and highly detailed. His figures are so accurate because of his intense attention to detail. It is amazing that not only is he self-taught, but he created the concept for this art as a young child and continues, to pursue this art to this day. Wayne was hoping to join us from his classroom today as we honor him, and I'm hoping technology didn't fail us. So Wayne, if you're able to, could you turn on your camera and microphone and either say a few words, or if you're more comfortable, just give us a wave? Any chance you're there, Wayne? Or perhaps you're shy? All right, well, I won't continue to press you if you're feeling shy, but if you do happen to want to pop in, we'd love to see you and recognize you. But I would like to say congratulations to Wayne on being an inspiration to people with disabilities to pursue their dreams and forge ahead with whatever makes them happy. You are also an inspiration to all artists who work to find the audience and buyers for their art. I am sure your fellow artisans are cheering for you and working with you to continue with your passion. Thank you, Wayne, for being an inspiration to artists, young people, and people with disabilities. You lead by example, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your work is wonderful.
Wayne is at school. This is his mom.
Well, hi, Mom. Would you like to say a few words?
I'm very proud of Wayne, and I'm very glad that y'all recognize all this hard work that he have done, and I really appreciate what y'all have done, and I thank you very much.
Well, thank you. You obviously have been very supportive of his work and his artwork, and so we appreciate you for all you've done to support him along the journey.
You're welcome.
All right, Matt, I guess it's back to you.
Okay, I'm not sure if Matt is able to join back on. He might be having some technical issues. This is Suzanne Weiner, and I'm with Oakland Community Health Network.
I'm sorry. I got that.
All right,
I had
Matt, you're back.
muted,
All right.
sorry.
No
I
worries.
muted myself. I didn't realize it. Okay, so I have the great honor and distinguished of introducing a good friend of mine from Mork, and her name is Lindsay Calcaterra.
Calcaterra.
Okay, I was trying, Lindsay. I'm sorry.
I know, Matt.
And I'll let her take over from here.
Thank you, Matt. I'm glad to see you here today. Good afternoon, everybody. I have the great honor today to introduce Fabian Israel as Mork's Ability Champion. Fabian is 27 years old, and he's on the autism spectrum. He is a sweet and caring person and also a truly amazing artist. Fabian's artistic talent could be began at a young age when he could often be found with a pencil in his hand, drawing cartoons or his favorite Disney characters. Then in 5th grade, he won his school's art contest, and that was when his family realized that he had a really special talent. Fabian graduated from Novi High School in 2012, and when his class voted on awards, Fabian won the Smiley Award because he was always making everyone smile. After high school, he went on to Jardin School and the Novi Adult Transition Program. He also took some art and music enrichment classes at Schoolcraft College. During his post-secondary education, Fabian began attending the Soul Studio at Friendship Circle and also building his vocational skills by working at various community job sites through Living and Learning Enrichment Center. He was one of the first students to graduate from Novi Adult Transition Program in 2020. Since his graduation was during COVID, the city of Novi, including all the teachers and firefighters, came out and saluted him with a drive-by parade. While attending the Soul Studio, Fabian gained quite a following for his art. Several patrons of the studio commissioned paintings from Fabian, allowing him to earn money for his work. His pieces also regularly sold for large sums of money during Friendship Circle's fundraising auctions. In addition to Soul Studio, Fabian also sells his art at Mod Market in Northville through Living and Learning. Fabian's artistic talent isn't just limited to painting. He is also a wonderful singer who sings in the choir at his family's church. His beautiful voice was also featured in an advertisement for Friendship Circle's Soul Studio, singing the song "This Is Me" from the movie The Greatest Showman. Fabian can also play piano by ear and has dabbled in other artistic mediums, including ceramics and weaving. During the pandemic, when he was unable to attend his regular programs, he started working with animation, using the computer to add music and movement to his paintings. When not creating art, Fabian also enjoys cooking, especially Asian and Indian cuisines, and hopes to continue building on those talents. Once COVID is over, Fabian looks forward to returning to Soul Studio and Living and Learning, and also taking some cooking classes. He hopes to continue honing and expanding his artistic skills to one day earn a living as an artist. Through his many talents and many artistic endeavors, Fabian has shown us that focusing on ability rather than disability, you can accomplish great things. And that is why we are so proud here at MORC to present our Ability Champion Award to Fabian Israel. And I believe you, Fabian, and his mom, Josephine, I believe are on. If you want to turn on your camera and say something or wave.
Hi.
There you go. Hi.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you want to say anything, Fabian?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the opportunities and support that I have received. I love to paint, and painting helps me stay calm and focused. I am so happy that so many people liked my painting, and I hope I can become a very good artist. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabian. You are a very good artist.
Thank you so much for picking my son as a champion for MORC. Thank you so much, Lindsay and Lushanta, who is working with the Fabian through MORC, and all the Living and Learning and Social Soul Center, who helps Fabian and support him to become an artist like this. He is so talented, and we are so proud of our son Fabian. And thank you so much for you all.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I think it's back to me. So congratulations to you, Fabian, and keep up the great artwork. You do a lot better art than I do. I can barely draw a stick figure. So congratulations to you. All right, the next person I am going to introduce is Tandy Jarson and Teresa Neal from MRS.
Hi guys, I'm Teresa and Tandy's around here with us.
I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me. I've attended this event for a number of years, and I'm always inspired by everything that I learn and the stories that I hear. We were asked just to share a little bit of information about Michigan Rehab Services. So for those individuals that are one day hoping to maybe get a job or find some work, we might be able to provide that assistance to you, especially if as we go through some of these slides, we'll get to information about OCHN's and MRS's customized employment program, which I think provides some exciting opportunities for everyone. But anyways, I'm going to just kind of start off. We're going to go on to the next slide, please. Just letting you know, Michigan Rehab is the state agency. We are here and have been here for 100 years to help individuals with disabilities to either obtain and maintain employment. We get our funding from the federal government as well as the state of Michigan. Next slide, please. The mission of MRS is to kind of develop a customized workforce solution for businesses and individuals with disabilities. Any individual that is legally blind gets the same services out of the Bureau of Services for Blind Persons. They too will work with individuals to help them explore their vocational interests and seek employment. Next slide, and Tandy.
So we have some eligibility criteria that people have to meet in order to receive our services. The first is that people have to have a disability. They also have to have work-related barriers because of their disability. So something that makes it harder for them to get a job or keep a job on their own. They have to require our assistance, and they have to be able to benefit from services, meaning they have to be able to work. Next slide. So we have a process that we go through when you come to us for services, and we call them the 6 steps to vocational rehabilitation. So the first step is completing an application, and then we gather information from a variety of sources to verify your disabilities and your barriers to employment so that we can make an eligibility determination, and that's the 3rd step. The 4th step is we develop a plan for employment. So the plan for employment is your job goal and then the services that a person needs to reach that goal. And that's what the person and the counselor agree to. And then we go ahead and enact the services that are in the plan. And after you have gotten a job and maintained it for 90 days, we go ahead and close the case. Next slide, please. So some services that people can get through us is job coaching, job placement. There are so many services that I possibly couldn't even name them all. Our services are all individualized and person specific. So when you come to us for services, you're assigned a counselor, and you and your counselor will determine what type of services that you need. And that's how we decide what services a person gets through MRS. Next slide. We also have Michigan Career and Technical Institute. That's a school outside of Kalamazoo, and they offer 14 different training programs. Programs such as culinary arts, retail marketing, pharmacy services, landscaping, and many others. So people that have an open MRS case and are eligible to attend MCTI can attend at no cost to themselves. Next slide.
All right, so just as an example of some of the things that, some of the creative and different partnerships that we've developed here at MRS is we have a, through Dell, like this year, we had a program with their autism hiring program. So they've created a new way of perhaps interviewing and giving some individuals a chance to have a 2-week non-traditional interview process, which is more task-based. And then if the individual is selected, they will get a paid internship with Dell over the summer. It's all virtual. That was created for persons with autism, but they're also they're calling it the neurodiversity. So, just some options that sometimes, work out for some of our individuals. Next slide. Another opportunity for some of the young adults with disabilities, and even adults with disabilities, is we have a brand new program that we will be doing this year, and it's in terms of doing some technical certification, so computer certification. I'm not really good on computers myself, so it's hard to explain the training, but the training is free. They get certification, they get some, ready to work skills training, resume, interview, that kind of thing. So for those individuals that want to develop their computer skills to perhaps get into cybersecurity or computer supports, there's that kind of an opportunity. Next slide. And this is one that we have been doing now since 2016, 2017. We've partnered with Oakland County Health Network, MORC, CLS, New Horizons, JVS, and MRS. And it's our customized employment program. And this is really designed to help individuals obtain employment. It's a unique approach for persons to get jobs. They go through what's called a discovery assessment, where they're really looking for a person's individual genius. What are their skills that they have to offer? What are their interests? What's important to them? Then based on that, based on getting to know the individual in that fashion, they focus on trying to create a job for them based on a business needs. So if somebody, based on what their skills and the interests, then they go to the employers and try to match it with what the business needs. I think it's a really exciting opportunity. It's proven to be very successful, and it's a little slower than some, but I mean, the people that are getting the jobs are very happy with it, because the jobs are customized and individualized for the person based on their skills and abilities. Next slide. And then, of course, we have supported employment services, where we kind of, help the individuals get into jobs. We provide the job placement assistance. We provide the job coaching, and we help to secure the ongoing support so that they can keep the job as long as they want it. Next slide. And Tandy.
So we've been getting really creative at MRS with our workshops with our community partner Disability Network of Oakland and Macomb. So we've been having virtual workshops through DNOM, and we've identified things that we think individuals could benefit from based on their input. So we have some job readiness training focusing on job readiness in the virtual world. Right now, a lot of the job interviews are virtual, so we want to get people prepared for that. We have a 50+ group. Coping with COVID is a very popular one as well. We have a job club for people to meet and look for jobs, meet virtually, that is. We have some budgeting classes and technology assessment and trainings, anger management for those that need to work on that. So we've been having, and there might be more to come, but we've been having a lot of good virtual workshops that people are really happy with. Next slide. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about our services?
All right, well, if you guys have any questions or you want to get more information, you are more than welcome to reach out to either Tandy or myself. And we can, kind of steer you in the right direction. If you just want to kind of talk about what you're thinking about in terms of working, what your dream job might be, how you might take advantage, just reach out. The slide doesn't have my phone number, but I can put it in the chat if in case you want to reach out to us. And thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
There is one question, it looks like, from somebody.
Okay.
Hi, yes, it's me. It's Cheryl. I do have a question for MRS. Do you provide interpreters for your workshops? If I would need a sign language interpreter, would you provide that for me?
Yes, we will. We would do that. We have provided Japanese interpreters if the individual's primary language is Japanese. So language is not going to be a barrier.
All right, wonderful. Thanks so much. Thank you. Good to know.
And my number's in there if you have any other questions. Take care.
Okie dokie. So now I have the opportunity to introduce Sally Samuki. I'm hoping I'm saying these names right. I'm sorry if I'm not.
That's absolutely okay. Thank you, Matt. My name is Sally Smolinski. I am the provider network analyst over employment services, and I'm here to give kind of a highlight and overview of our skill building and employment, supported employment rather, services. Next slide, please. All right, and on the screen, you'll see a list of our contracted skill building and supported employers, providers. Those include all 11 on our list, as well as we do contract with 3 core providers for individual placement and supports, otherwise known as IPS services. These providers work with individuals across Oakland County. For individuals wishing to find employment, providers offer the support to achieve employment goals to obtain and maintain employment. Often these services can include job development, job placement, job coaching, transportation assistance, long-term follow-along supports to help successfully maintain employment. Supported employment services are provided in competitive integrated employment settings in the community where individuals will work alongside individuals who do not have disabilities and also are required to earn at least minimum wage. Skill building services are available to engage individuals in meaningful activities and assist individuals in developing skills that can help them become successful in achieving goals, as well as contribute to the ability to obtain employment. Individuals build skills through learning, volunteer, and employment experiences. Our provider network offers opportunities for skill building both in facility and community-based settings. Some examples of skills that can be practiced and developed include, but are not limited to, the following: communication skills, daily living and hygiene skills, office etiquette, task completion, organizational strategies, office socialization, and workplace problem-solving strategies. Our providers have taken many precautions as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Telehealth services are available, screening protocols are being implemented, and many providers have adjusted group and capacity sizes to accommodate for social distancing, as well as many other precautions to help mitigate the spread and decrease risk to participants. Many individuals have continued to work in essential jobs and roles throughout the pandemic with the support from our awesome providers. For more specific information on our providers programs, you can visit our website, which we've recently just updated. So you'll go to oaklandchn.org and then follow the tabs that are listed below our provider list here on the screen. So it'll be the Access Service tab, then the Service Information tab, and then you'll find a link to the employment supports. And feel free to reach out to providers for specific information on their programs. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Matt.
All right, I wonder if Matt is maybe having a hard time unmuting. Are you there, Matt? All right, I'll take over for Matt until he can join us again. Again, this is Suzanne Weiner with OCHN. And for our final segment of the program today, we have something very special. At this event in the past, we've had numerous microenterprise vendors set up in the room to sell their unique items. Obviously, with the pandemic, we were unable to be in person, so we're bringing some of these individuals to you virtually and on our website. And one of them would like to say a few words about their story and their thriving business. So first up, please welcome Spencer Kelly, owner of the Expedition Soap Company.
Hello there, I'm Spencer Kelly, owner and founder of the Expedition Soap Company. I'd like to thank you guys for having me back again, and I'd like to begin my my presentation. So good afternoon. It's really interesting whenever I speak to anybody about my company, whether it's a crowd or a single person. I start with my story. It makes sense. After all, you got to start somewhere. Now, I could just start with how I started my company. However, my business story doesn't begin with my business. It begins with my childhood. For those of you who don't know, I have Asperger's syndrome. My childhood was one long journey of feeling lost. Part of having autism is an almost supernaturally enforced sense of contentedness. Your sensitivity to your surroundings, your struggles with socialization, comorbid conditions like, in my case, nervous tics or depression, all these things weigh down on you. I spent much of my childhood feeling this way. I'd stare up at the ceiling at night, never quite knowing where I was going to go in my current part of life. I remember feeling like I could never understand many things my friends found funny and interesting. Honestly, under these conditions, it's too easy to give up and become complacent. Trust me, I have dozens of those stories, and I wish I didn't. However, what good story is only about the failures? Does a knight look at the dungeon and say, not today? Did the Patriots take one look at the Redcoats and decide, you know what, the whole revolution thing? Not worth it. Does your father overcook one steak on the grill and decide, no more grilling for me? No. The knight slays a dragon at the end of the dungeon, the Patriots won their independence, and your father continues to grill the second warm weather comes out. I found a business book when I was in the 5th grade, and I was hooked. Entrepreneurship. A whole career where I could create my own path in life and succeed despite everything that was against me. I thought to myself, where could I begin? Issue was I was 10 years old at the time, and I really didn't have a spot to begin. I continued, though, constantly looking for opportunities when one finally arose. It was late June of 2016. I had just gone out of 9th grade and went bike riding with a friend. We headed to a local fast food restaurant and left our bikes outside. We were in there for about 5 minutes, and then when we came out, our bikes were stolen, gone. That was my only way to get around, and it may as well have been vaporized. Fortunately, my father bought me a new one, with a catch. Find a way to pay me back by the end of summer, he said. 2 weeks went by, and I was still looking for ideas when I decided to take a midday shower for whatever reason. I thought to myself, man, this soap is terrible. I could do better. Then, as if it were a movie scene, I said to myself, man, why don't I do better? I went downstairs and told my family about the idea I just had of selling luxury handmade soap. 2 months of hard work later, and I officially started the Expedition Soap Company. However, the real challenges were ahead. Now, owning a business is very easy on paper. Obviously, you sell products to people and you get money for selling products. But, like a tango, there are so many different steps to making it successful. From inventory management to running a website, you must be at the top of your game in every minute. And I sure wasn't at the start. Multitasking is yet another issue I always struggled with. But I overcame that due to almost a sign of necessity where I had to develop my own skills and realize my own potential. Every new step began to weigh down on me, yet throughout it all, I stood strong. Now, where I really began succeeding was when I started attending vendor and craft shows. Now, I'm going to be honest, I started off with absolutely terrible social skills. But the more I talked to people and the more I worked, the better I got. And this is where the success really began to bloom. I realized that autism had given me a bit of an advantage compared to many of my competitors. The ability to see opportunities where others couldn't. I started out like every other vendor you've ever seen at a craft show, sitting behind a table with my products out front. However, I realized something that seemed to strangely be almost anathema to the average craft show design. People were being forced out into the hall. People didn't want to stand out in the hall. They wanted to come in and enjoy checking out your products and away from where everyone was walking. So eventually I began revamping my display, and from a single table into multiple shelves. Over time, I eventually began applying this creativity to other parts of my company, such as creating fun games on social media or finding new ways to describe my products that entice and interest people. Now, throughout my entire career of, I want to say 4.5 years at this point, I've had thousands of opportunities to quit. And if I'm going to be honest, I nearly did several times. I felt like I had no place. Almost as if I felt like I was an imposter in my position in the beginning. Today, however, I'm a vastly different person. Through all the hard work and what I've done and my perseverance, I developed my social skills, learned how to multitask and adapt to change easily, and even improve physically on my nervous tics. I hope that my story has shown that regardless of where you begin, you can always work to your highest potential no matter what. Everyone has their own skills, and it simply takes one opportunity, like I had with my bike getting stolen, to discover where you can apply them. So, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to my presentation. I'd like to thank you guys so much for coming out today. And I'd like to give everyone here a special on my company, expeditionsoaps.com. With the coupon OCNH, I'm going to write in the chat, OCNCHN10. You'll get 10% off of all my products on my website. And again, I'd like to thank you guys so much for listening to my presentation today.
Wow, Spencer. Thank you.
Of course.
That was awesome. All right. The next one is Brian Natty. And that is Futuria. I don't even know if I am saying that right, but it's a 8x10 print and no card made by his artwork. And there's a website there you can visit and an email address if you're interested. The next one is Elegant Design by Elizabeth. Elizabeth Martin is a personally designed machine embroiderized pillows, towels, aprons, and baby items. Personally designed food safe ceramics. Her phone number and email is there if you would like to check that out. Micro vendors. To learn more about micro enterprises, vendors, and purchase items to support their business, please visit the OCHN website at www.oakland. It's OAKLANDCHN.org. Hit the news/event tab and click on micro enterprise. And thank you.
I think Dana has some closing comments. You there, Dana?
Yes, I'm here. Have to turn my camera back on. So sorry about that. So as we come to a close in our program, I really like to thank all of you for taking the time to join us today. It was amazing. And I want to give a big thank you and congratulations to Fabian and Wayne for all the work that they do in being champions of ability. We really do appreciate the speakers today for bringing forward such important topics. Who can forget amazing Amy? That's okay. I hope to call you from now on. But just your story is so inspirational. Everybody has some amazing things to share. So as a reminder, we just heard about some amazing vendors selling their unique products. Please visit their websites and support their businesses. I know personally that starting a business is challenging, but I also know it can be very amazing and rewarding. So Spencer, keep at it, and all the other creative entrepreneurs that we have. Before we sign off, we want to thank you for supporting and celebrating these achievements and recognizing March as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Thank you again to CLS, Community Living Services, MORC, MRS, Vicki, of course, Amy and Sally, and to all of you who own and operate your own micro enterprises. And to all of you who have joined us today in celebrating abilities, again, I want to thank you so much. This is probably the best part of what I do here at OCHN. I love celebrating all the amazing people we get to work with. So thank you again. Hope everyone have an amazing day.